Oh, there you are. I can see you big now. It's going well. I was just saying to somebody else that we've had a couple of power cuts in the last hour because we had like ice storms here today.
Oh,
And
God.
so on that note, if I suddenly disappear, that's the reason.
Oh, no. Okay.
But they've been like split second things, and then everything comes back to life. So we're just going to do this. So nice to virtually meet you. I'm kind of assuming that you're a pretty busy person right now, so I appreciate your time. First, so how's life?
It's good. I was out of town for a couple weeks because I was in London and I was in New York and I was just playing a few shows, but I'm just happy to be back now. I got back and then I immediately went to Mexico for a little trip. So now I'm back and it feels good. And my cat is doing crazy things in my room right now. So I'm sorry if you hear that.
That's all right. This is Blueberry Muffin.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got a little bit of Blueberry into the video, even if she doesn't make an appearance.
Yeah.
So was Mexico work or that was relaxation?
That was just for vacation. I was there for like 3 days. It was great.
Okay. I feel like you might deserve that.
Yeah, it felt like
that. And I'm from the UK, even though I'm in Montreal. So how was London?
It was great. It was a little gloomy, but I was expecting that. That's what everyone does when they go. But I'd never been before. I was only there for like 3 or 4 days, so I didn't really get to do a ton, but it was still pretty cool. And I know I'll be back sometime soon. So
I'm sure. Well, everything's happening at the moment. The album's been out just over a month now.
Yeah.
So, here we go. There you go. Guest appearance. So how's it been? Like, how's it been having this album out in the world and knowing that so many people are listening to it and falling in love with it?
It feels a lot more, I think, neutral than I thought. I think I thought that putting out my first album would be this like great moment of like epiphany and explosion. And I think I realized when I put it out that like the most accomplished I felt was when I finished the album, not when I put it out, because to me it's been done. And so it's been weird because it's this weird thing where like I have to like, I check in like every like day or so and I'm like, oh, I forgot that that's out right now. And it definitely makes me feel a little like naked, for lack of a better word, just because it's a really vulnerable feeling, obviously, but I'm not super fazed by it, I think, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, putting music out into the world for any artist is going to be vulnerable, as you say.
Yeah.
But for you, because your lyrics are so intimate, it's like next level vulnerable. So have you ever had a song where you're like, no, that's too much, I'm going to hold that one back because it's too personal?
I mean, to be honest, like not every song on the album I was super like keen on putting out in the first place. And after like some time, I kind of, warmed up to the idea. But even Touch Tank, I was kind of like, I kind of made it as a joke, but I wasn't like, oh, like this is a hit song I'm going to put out. You know what I mean? I felt that way about Get What You Get. I really didn't want to put that song out. And I'd had it privately written for like 2 years before we'd recorded it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the time I feel that way about certain songs. And then I kind of am like, what good is this song doing if it's just kind of, I don't know, stewing away alone in the vaults, I guess. And then it kind of makes more sense for me to.
And especially with Touchdown, because it is such an intimate song. Do you read the comments? Like I just started reading some of the comments on YouTube to that song, and it seems to have, like, so many people seem so grateful that you put this song out. Have you paid attention to any of that and got the feedback?
I used to read all comments and then I realized it wasn't exactly like amazing for my brain. So I stopped reading everything. I no longer will like scroll to the bottom of a comment section because that's where things get a little gnarly.
Yeah.
Definitely on YouTube, I read a lot of the top comments. I read the top comments on TikToks and stuff like that. And that's where I see really positive feedback and the stuff that I think I should be,
I mean, there's always going to be some weirdo like comments in amongst all the nice stuff. But to be honest, I didn't really see any of those. It's just all people saying like, thank you for making this song. And it's like, it's so rare that somebody has these kind of feelings to share, especially in this day and age. So
yeah, sure. I definitely I always have been. And at first I was very shocked because I feel like I get specifically that song, a lot of very earnest feedback and a lot of like personal stories and anecdotes. And it's very sweet to see for sure. And it's really touching, obviously, because I never really thought it would have any sort of impact like that, on anybody. So
were you the kind of kid that kept a diary? I'm guessing you were.
Yeah, I have probably upwards of like 10 or 11 journals ever since I was a kid. And I just, keep stacking on top of them every time I finish one. So that's been a thing for me since I was really small.
Does keeping a diary like lead directly to the songs, or is that just how your brain works?
Honestly, no. I don't like start a song in my journal. You know what I mean? Like I kind of start my songs in my day to day. And I am constantly kind of jotting things down on paper or in my notes app or whatever throughout the day. And that's kind of how like the seed is usually planted for my songs. I definitely have gotten a lot of good stuff from my journals, but weirdly the journals are just for me. And I can like a lot of the time kind of cross-reference a lot of stuff in there if I need a more specific detail or something like that for a song.
Are you still doing it? Are you still journaling?
Yes, for sure. All the time.
So, I'm guessing your journals must have changed quite a lot since this time last year.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
It's been a big year.
Yeah, it's been there's been a lot of changes in like all, arenas of my life. So weird. I was just thinking about it this week and kind of thinking about where I was at a year ago. And it's, always very confusing, especially after a big year.
So where did music start for you? Like, what was the time that you remember like falling in love with music?
I was really little. My uncle gave me like a CD of Sgt. Pepper's, and that was one of the first albums I really loved. He also gave me this like hits of the 60s like compilation CD.
Right.
I used to like listen to those two religiously when I was like probably 5 or 6 on like my Hello Kitty CD player.
Nice.
And that was probably like the conception of me being like, I love music. And then I did musical theater all throughout my childhood and all throughout high school. And I started writing my own songs probably around when I was 6 or so too. Stopped for a bit, picked it up again in middle school, stopped, picked it up again in high school. And then I started recording myself in high school as well.
So what kind of songs was the 6-year-old Quinnie writing? I'm like very different. I'm hoping.
Different, but not too. I don't know. I would show you if I could. I have a tattoo up here that my sister does. Oh, here it is. That my sister designed for me. It says "Joy is happy" because that was like the first song I ever wrote when I was 6 years old, and I had a little like construction paper booklet, and I had a song called "Joy's Happy." Very profound stuff. So that's what my songs looked like, I guess you could say. And then in middle school, they were weirdly cynical. And I look back and I chuckle every time I read them. It's very funny to look at.
Did you get the songs from middle school? Did you get to perform any of those?
Actually, no, I didn't really I was really shy as a kid. So I didn't start performing at all until I was high school. And even in high school, it was kind of few and far between. But I did not like being the center of attention in that way when I was super young. So no, maybe one day.
Are you starting to get used to that now?
For sure. Yeah. I started getting used to it more when I was like probably 17, 18, because my sister used to have like a DIY venue in her basement and I would perform there. And then I did a little bit in college because I went to college for a year. But it kind of, all that like warming up kind of came to a halt during COVID because I didn't get to play for like 2-ish years. I played like one-off show like 3 years up until this month. So, hello?
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
I had a glitch then. I didn't feel the power go off, but you kind of froze.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, I'm just getting back into the swing of things in regard to playing live, and I feel normal about it again.
Okay, so you've had some shows recently, right? I know you've got some more coming up.
Yep.
How has it been playing the songs now that the album's out and people know the words? How has it been playing those in front of people?
It's been, I think a lot of people who play live would probably describe it as pretty like reinvigorating because you kind of like live with this music for a really long time and then you don't really get to see in the flesh how people relate to it until you play it live, you know? And sorry, my cat is being crazy. And so it's very exciting, for lack of a better word, to hear, you know, people singing my songs. It's like a feeling I've never felt before. So overall, very positive.
And it must, like with these lyrics, especially, I think people definitely pay attention to your lyrics, and your lyrics are fantastic. I have to say, like you're a really talented songwriter. But I'm betting, I haven't seen you live yet, but I'm betting that a lot of people are singing these lyrics back to you as you're performing.
For sure.
So it must be like really nice, but a bit weird to see that connection.
It's super weird. I mean, I anticipated it on like Touch Tank, but when I hear it on other songs, specifically some of the more like slower, sadder songs, it's kind of shocking to me, but also really exciting. And there's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like anything else, you know?
With the album Flounder, I would think if anything connects all of the songs, or maybe most of the songs at least, is the subject of trust. Would that be a fair comment?
For sure.
Why do you think that is something that flows through your music, like not just on one song or two?
It was never intentional, you know? Like I think a lot of the time, you know, you go into this project being like, I want to make a greater project, but the meaning is going to have to kind of reveal itself to me, you know? And that's how I felt from the get-go. And then I think at kind of the end of this period of my life, I realized in writing all these songs that the topic that I was really grappling with throughout all of it was trust. And so I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense in that, you know, it was paired with me entering my young adulthood and having to learn how to, you know, function on my own in the real world and take care of myself and all that good stuff. And, you know, those things don't always go amazingly when you're 18, 19, 20, and you're just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And the world is scary, you know? And I think that was sort of where a lot of the subject matter was centered. But I also experienced, I think in that time of my life, a lot of extreme like pain and violation of trust paired with like a great light that I was carrying with myself. And I was often very confused with this concept of like, how can people be so cruel and horrible when I want to go outside every day and trust that things are going to be okay and trust that the world is a good place for me and have an open heart and have an open mind, you know? And I think that's really where most of the music came from, was just this sort of dissonance in my brain. Hello?
Oh,
Is it working?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay, please. So it could also be on my end, for all I know. I really have no idea.
No, it's not. It's like Game of Thrones up here in Canada today. It's like it's the worst, but hopefully it's the end. Anyway, sorry about that.
Please. All good.
Okay.
Shit, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about the album and the concept of trust, I think.
Yeah. on the subject of trust, can I ask, like, I know that you have been directing videos. You've also taken care of all the artwork, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
But is that because you don't trust anybody else to do it?
In the artwork department, yes, not in the video department. In the artwork department, yeah, because I know exactly what I want to look like. And I'm just like, I just have to get it done, you know? I know I can do it, and I don't feel the need to put it in someone else's hands. And that definitely is the control freak in me. The music video thing, less so, because I do those with my best friend, Jake, and we've brought in some other people too. And that's kind of a space where I'm more comfortable delegating, because it's really not my wheelhouse at all. I just have ideas, you know?
But it works really well because you see the artwork and you can tell it's your music without even seeing anything that's written on the cover.
Thank you.
So now you've got yourself into a loop where you're just going to have to continue with that.
For sure. Yeah. I think about it sometimes. And I'm like,
okay. If it's okay, I'm going to ask you a few like quick fire-ish questions about your actual listening habits.
Cool.
So what's an album that really reminds you of your childhood?
Ooh.
First one that comes to mind. There's no pressure.
The first thing that comes to mind is it's the soundtrack to the Godspell musical.
Okay, that's a random one. Where did that come from?
It was just a musical that my sister and I loved as kids that we were in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.